Hello Year 2, it's Mr. Watkins here. Our theme this term is nursing nightmares, so I thought I'd read you a really lovely story by David Walliams. It's called The Midnight Gang. So let's read this together. I think we're going to try and do a chapter a day. So get yourself cosy and let's look at some of the pictures together and listen to the fantastic story by Mr. Walliams. So this is the front cover of David Walliams' book, The Midnight Gang. Welcome to the world of the Midnight Gang. This is Lord Funt Hospital in London, England. It was built many years ago and should have been demolished many years ago. The hospital was named in honour of its late founder, Lord Funt. And there you can see a fantastic hospital. Very, very brilliant design there. Let's have a look inside. So, we've got the children's ward up here at the top, the pharmacy, the big long spiral staircase going all the way down. We've got Raj's ward, Nellie's ward, Sir Quentin Striller's office, and there's the gift shop down here, can you see that? And then, right at the bottom, is the basement. Meet the patients in the children's ward, high up on the 44th floor of the hospital. This is Tom. He's 12 and he goes to a posh boarding school. He's hurt his head. This is Amber. She's 12. She's broken both of her arms and both of her legs. So she's been in a wheelchair for some time. This is Robin. He is also 12. He's recovering from an operation to save his eyesight, and for now can't see a thing. George is 11 and from East End of London, which makes him a Cockney. He's recovering from having his tonsils taken out in an operation. Sally is just 10 and the youngest of the group. Because she is so ill, Sally spends most of her time sleeping. Downstairs, in one of the grown-ups wards, is the oldest patient in the hospital, 99-year-old Nellie. Hundreds of people work at Lord Funt's hospital. Among them are Porter, a lonely figure whose real name is a mystery. His job is to move people and things around the hospital, which never seem to leave. Which he never seems to leave. Matron, despite running the children's ward, he does not like children at all. She does not like children at all. And this is Dr. Lumpers. He's just become a doctor, and he's rather easy to fool. Tootsie. Tootsie is the hospital's dinner lady. She brings meals round on a trolley to all the patients. This is Nurse Messie. This is Nurse Meese. She's a tired-looking nurse who never seems to get a night off work. Dilly is one of the hospital cleaners. Dilly is one of the hospital cleaners. You can always tell where she has cleaned as there'll be a long trail of cigarette ash. And this is Mr. Cod. He's an old chemist. He has a hearing aid and thick glasses. Mr. Cod runs the pharmacy in the hospital. This is Sir Quentin Striller's. He's an upper-class hospital principal and is in charge of everyone and everything. From the outside of the hospital, there is Mr. Hughes, the headmaster of Tom's school, St. Willet's boarding school for boys. Here we are, we can see there's a figure stood in the doorway. It looks like the matron. And this looks like the children's ward. And we can see on the clock, it's about 10 to 12. Nearly midnight. Midnight is the time when all the children are fast asleep, except, of course, for the Midnight Gang. That is the time when their adventures are just beginning. Chapter 1. Monster Man. Ah! Screamed the boy. The most monstrous face he had ever seen was peering down at him. It was the face of a man, but he was completely lopsided. One side was larger than it should have been, and the other side was smaller. The face smiled as if to calm the boy down, only to reveal a set of broken and rotten teeth. This made the boy scream even louder than before. Ah! He screamed again. "You'll be all right, young sir. Please try and be calm," slurred the man. His face was so misshapen that so was his speech. Who was this man, and where was he taking the boy? It was only then the boy realised he was lying on his back, staring straight up. It felt almost as if he was floating. But something was rattling. He was rattling. The boy realised he must have been lying on a trolley with wonky wheels. His head clouded with questions. Where was he? How did he get there? He couldn't remember a thing. And most importantly, who was this terrifying man monster? The trolley travelled slowly down the long corridor. The boy could hear the sound of something being dragged along the floor. It sounded like the squeak of a shoe. He looked down. The man was limping. Just like his face, one side of his body was smaller than the other. You can see the corridor looks very scary. I don't know what's going on. So the man was dragging his withered leg with him. It looked like every movement might be painful. Bang! A pair of tall doors swung open and the trolley trundled into the room and came to a stop. Then some curtains were drawn around the boy. "I hope that wasn't too uncomfortable, young sir," said the man. The boy thought it was curious that this man called him sir. He had never been called sir in his life. He was only 12. Sir was a title reserved only for teachers at his boarding school. "Now, you wait here. I'm just the porter. Let me get the nurse. Nurse!" As he lay there, the boy felt strangely disconnected from his own body. It felt limp, lifeless. The pain, though, was in his head. It was throbbing, hot. If the feeling could be a colour, it would be red. A bright, hot, raging red. The pain was so immense. The pain was so intense he had to close his eyes. When he opened them, he realised he was staring straight up at a bright, fluorescent light. This made his headache even more than before. Then he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. The curtain was whisked back. A large older lady in a blue and white uniform with a hat leaned over and examined the boy's head. Dark circles framed her bloodshot eyes. Grey, wiry hair squatted on her head. Her face was red raw, as if she had scrubbed it with a cheese grater. In brief, she had the appearance of someone who had not slept for a week and was angry about it. "Oh dearie me, oh dearie me, oh dearie, dearie, dearie me," she muttered to nobody in particular. In his confusion, the boy took a moment to realise this woman was in fact dressed as a nurse. At last the boy realised where he was. A hospital. He had never been in one before, except the day he was born, and he couldn't remember that. The boy's eyes drifted up to the lady's name badge. Nurse Meese, Lord Funt Hospital. That is a bump, a big bump, a very big bump. Now, does that hurt? She said as she poked the boy hard on his head with her finger. Ow! He screamed so loudly it echoed along the corridor. Some slight pain, she muttered. Some slight pain, muttered the nurse. Now, let me go get a doctor. Doctor! The curtain was whisked across, and then back again. As the boy lay there, staring at the ceiling, he could hear the sound of footsteps departing. Doctor! She barked out again, now some way down the corridor. Come in, nurse! Came a voice far off. Quickly! She shouted. Sorry, said the voice. Then there was a sound of footsteps approaching at speed. The curtain was whisked back. A young pointy-faced man breezed in, his long white coat trailing behind him. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, announced a posh voice. It was a doctor, and he was somewhat out of breath at having had to run. Looking up, the boy read the man's name, Dr. Loopers. That is a big bump. Does it hurt? The man took out a pencil from his breast pocket. He then held one end and tapped the boy's head with it. Ow! The boy screamed again. It wasn't as bad as being jabbed by a gnarly old finger, but it still hurt. Sorry. Please don't report me. I've only just graduated as a doctor, you see. I won't, muttered the boy. Are you sure? Quite sure. Thank you. Now I need to make sure I cross the I's and dot the T's. I've just have this little admissions form to fill in. The man proceeded to roll out a form that looked as though it might take a week to complete. The boy sighed. So, young man, began the doctor in a sing-song tone that hopped. So, young man, began the doctor in a sing-song tone that he hoped might bring this boring task fun. What is your name? The boy's mind went blank. He had never forgotten his own name before. Name? Asked the doctor again. But try as he might, the boy couldn't remember it. I don't know. And that is the end of chapter 1. So that's the first chapter of our Midnight Gang. How exciting! We've met the boy, we've met the nurse, and we've met the doctor. But the boy can't even remember his name. How strange! I look forward to seeing what happens next in chapter 2. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.